When the word becomes your lens, you start seeing things differently. People as the image bearers of God. Enemies as mission fields. Conflict as opportunity for peace. Pain as a place God can redeem. That's what starts to change when you see things the way God sees it. You don't just see that everybody's your enemy and leave it alone. You don't just see that, that there's things that need to be changed in the world and say, oh, you know what, somebody just needs to do something about this. No, you start to become where you say, I can do something about this. God is the answer to these situations. People are not my enemy. The devil is my enemy. This is things, these life situations that have happened to me. God is not against me. He is with me. I just have to draw close to him. How do we put on God's lens? A Bible on the shelf does not correct a vision. A verse you heard once does not automatically change your instinct. Corrective lenses work when we put them on again and again and again. So that's the great thing about, I say read the Bible all the time. When you read the Bible a lot and you have yourself hooked up like me with a lot of things that remind you of the verse, that they email you the verse of the day. They notify you 3-4 times. Did you check the verse of the day? Did you check on here? Did you check on here? Why? Because I'm forgetful. Not because I'm old, because I have a lot coming in at one time. And what happens is I tend to overextend myself. I tend to say yes to everything and then not be able to do everything. So I forget. So I need to have multiple times where I'm reminded. And some days I hit it, and I hit every single verse, every single reminder. I read the Bible. I also look in the U version app, and I have another one that sends me one, and then I have a men's one that sends me. And sometimes they overlap. Sometimes in a couple weeks, you read the same verse more than one time. And you know what we could do? Because we're so busy. And busy is a self-inflicted thing. It's what we do to ourselves. But we're so busy. There are certain things we can't do. We have to do. You have to go to work. You have to feed your kids. You have to use the bathroom. Those are certain things. But then there's all the add-ons. And if you really sat down and calculated how many add-ons you do, you have a lot of add-on packages that you have added on. And then you want to tell everybody else about how busy you are, that you can't do anything, and you can't spend any time with God, and you can't pray. Maybe you need to review your subscription level. You read it, and what happens sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes I start to read it and I go, I know what that says. So I close it. It would have taken me another 2 minutes to read it and reflect, but I'm too busy. I've read it. I just read it the other day. Come on, I know what that says. But here's the thing. Hearing a verse one time, reading it one time, reading it 10 times, that's not always enough. The word is the same, but revelation is new and changing. The word doesn't change, but the way God reveals it to our heart. So sometimes you read something that you read before and you see it in a whole different light, a whole different way. Well, it's the same thing with life. Sometimes as we see things, it changes, and then what happens is we see how that's going to affect our life later on, or we see how that's been something we've been going through. So what happens is if you just have it one time, it's not enough. You need to constantly be getting the word inside of you. You need to constantly be putting on your glasses. If you're not seeing things this way, you're not seeing it the way God wants you to see it. See, the devil, he's sneaky. And he comes in and he wants you to think that you're hearing from God, but you're hearing from him. Has anybody fell into that trap? I have. I've fell in that trap when dealing with people, where I'm like, no, God wants me to tell them. And then you start getting like biblical on them, and you're like, the wrath of God. That's not for us. That's not the way God deals with you. If God dealt with me like that, I would be in a hole and never moving, because I mess up all the time. But God deals with me with love and mercy and kindness. And so what I'm saying is, if you're seeing situations and you're seeing them in a negative light, I'm not saying you're seeing them as a warning, like, hey, this is not a great idea, I'm not saying like that. You're seeing it negatively. You're seeing people negatively. You're seeing the faults. You're seeing everything negative about somebody, and your heart is getting hard towards it. That's not God's lens. If you wake up in the morning and you think, of course my car wouldn't start today because this is my life. That's not God's lens. That's not the way he sees it. He's not mad at you for having feelings. He's mad at you for the way you do things. So what happens is you can just slap those lenses on and go through your day. And let me tell you, by the end of the day, you're not even going to notice that you've been negative all day about every situation, because the enemy got you right on the onset, and he is like, they don't even know this. And I think he sits there with his friends and he kind of watches and he's like, look at this idiot. He does not know that his glasses are broken, that he's seeing life all askew, that he's got actual muck, not just a smudge. He's got muck on his eyes, and he's just going for it. I got him. Watch this fool today. That's not the way it works with God. So if you see that, if you notice when something negative is happening, you say, whoa, I'm throwing those glasses off and I'm putting on the glasses that are correct. God gives you all you need to do things, but you have to do something. So God has given you the lenses. God has given you the wisdom to notice when you have the wrong lenses on. But he literally cannot take them off of your face and put the right ones on. Here is some things, what God's character looks like. So love each other just as I have loved you. That's found in John 13, 34 through 35. Love is patient and kind. We've all heard that one, right? I love that one because that is the hammer to which sometimes people try to tell me why their marriage, why their relationships don't work. Because you know what? As humans, we fail in that love. I'm not always kind. I'm not always patient. I'm not always long-suffering. I'm not always letting go. Are you kidding me? If that was the standard, I fail. But that doesn't mean that I don't love the person. That doesn't mean I don't love Lauren because I fail in those areas. That's God's love, God's character. What we're trying to do is be like him. You're never going to be God. You can try to be like God. You can say, you know what? I'm not being kind. I'm not loving. I'm not being understanding. I'm not being forgiveness. I'm holding out. I'm not letting go of these things. I'm continuing to allow it to sink in and skew how I am seeing them in my life. I need to put on God's lens. I need to see them the way he sees them. I need to be constantly forgiving, not give a limit to it, not say, well, I've done that 3 times and that's it. They're done. 3 strikes, you're out, No. If it's 3 strikes, you're out. We're all out. We're all out because we all mess up.